Hello ladies and gentlemen, Mitchel Blake with FishIBX, and we're going to bring you a late January episode today. I'm primarily going to be targeting, we're going to target some crappie, we're going to target some rock today, see what all's biting, maybe go into a winter mix, who knows, we might even see some perch, raccoon perch, some white perch. More than likely today we're going to stay with the ultralights and small baits. Late January here in eastern North Carolina, the water is about as cold as we're going to see it. The days are already starting to get a little bit longer, so we've still got February. February is a tough month here, but like I say, water temperatures have already dipped down. They're down and stable, fluctuating somewhere between 39 and 43, 44, so it's kind of up and down on the water temps there. I do apologize having to wear a mask. We've got the COVID thing going on. Trying to stay safe than sorry. So anyways, I hope the audio on this comes out pretty good. I hope we get on some fish. We've got a overcast day today. Matter of fact, they were calling for a little bit of rain this morning. Cold temperatures, water sitting still. Man, what else? Cloud cover. Who knows? We're going to fish. We're going to show you the results, see what happens. Stay tuned. Let's see what we can catch. You know, there are quite a few people that fish all winter long. You know, even in the colder months. And I'll be the first to tell you that wintertime fishing can be really, really phenomenal, especially if you pick your days. I highly recommend that anybody that sets a pole down and doesn't fish in the wintertime, you're missing out on some great opportunities. What I see happen, well, what I have found through fishing, you know, across even some of our coldest winters, the fish will most of the time concentrate in pockets or given areas, and it can be you may fish a while and not get a bite, and then all of a sudden you'll get a bite, and you'll find that there's a lot of different species all in one spot. It may take you a while to find them, but usually when you find them, you can sit there and have a lot of fun. What I can tell you about wintertime fishing, whenever I'm searching, when I hit an area and I'm trying to figure out what's going on or trying to find those fish, I'll stop in an area and I'll fan cast, just like the hands on a clock, you know, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, working right on around. A lot of times I won't make the same cast twice unless I get a bite. If I get a bite, then I'll make that cast again. Because wintertime fishing, it is a lot slower. I do a lot of jig fishing, so I'm having to wait for that jig to fall to the bottom. A lot of times I'm using small profiles or lighter jig heads. So I'm letting that presentation, it's a slow presentation. You can't get fast if you're fishing in the winter. But if you have patience, let that lure get down, let it fall. If those fish are stacked up, they're going to hit it. And like I say, once you find them, then you can kind of duplicate what's going on. Or once you find some active fish. And some people, I just got a bite right then, just missed one. Some people use their electronics. Electronics are a great tool. I can tell you this, I've had a lot of different electronics on the boat. I've used my electronics. I believe in my electronics, but I have seen times where I've gone through an area, I did not mark fish or did not see fish even on my side scan, and I've caught fish there. So, you know, is everything dialed in? It must not be, you know, I think water clarity has a lot to do with that. I think water temperatures, the activity of fish, sometimes these fish will lay right on the bottom, and as the sun comes up or hits the middle of the day, this fish will come up and suspend. And a lot of times if you're using your electronics and riding through a creek trying to find fish, you'll overlook those fish. Whereas I think just thoroughly fishing an area, that jig will tell you what's there as long as you're patient. I guess that all depends on how patient you are. And I'll be the first to admit, I may go through a creek, kind of scanning it with my electronics, and If I see areas that look like they should hold fish, in my opinion, that looks good to me, then I'll mark it mentally and may come back and fish, 2 or 3 spots in a creek before I completely write it off and move on. So those are a few pointers that I've seen with winter fishing. Electronics can be a great tool, but nothing's gonna duplicate time on the water, time behind the rod, actually feeling what's going on, feeling that jig, putting it down there and seeing if you can catch fish. I mean, time and time again, I've caught fish out of areas and then went back to my electronics and scanned it to see, exactly what they look like, where they're sitting at. I need to be able to see that. And I can tell you more than once, it hasn't happened. There's fish are there. They're biting. You know what depth they are. And then again, I've done the exact same thing and they light up on the screen, so I don't know. Maybe transducer angle, could be water clarity, could be water salinity in some cases, who knows. Just a little thump. Once again, not a massive fish, but nonetheless, target species to start out our winter mix. Boy, that got hooked good. Speckled perch or crappie. See you, buddy. Love catching those things. And look, all I'm doing with this jig is I'm letting it fall. And I'm doing little hops off the bottom. Just bottom bouncing, per se. This is a light braided line. On a pretty high module rod. It's got a lot of feeling. Soft tip so it doesn't overwork the bait. But enough tip to get the job done. And enough backbone is if I catch a big fish, I can steal no problem whatsoever. Like I say, just letting that thing fall and letting it go all the way to the bottom. Little bitty hops. And as the day progresses, if this cloud cover breaks, that sun pops out, these fish may come up and become a lot more active, and then you can go to something just a straight retrieve, a swim bait, who knows. But usually starting out in the winter, these colder water temps, I'll always convert to a jig. Then I'll transition to what the fish tell me, and then usually by the end of the day, by the sunset, I'll be, usually going back to a jig. I had one bite directly off the boat here. I threw it a couple more times. Couldn't get him to chew again, so I'm going to go back to working it just like the hands on a clock. Who knows what we might catch? All we need is a few bites. A few bites to get us going. And in our area, there's a lot of guys in the wintertime that are striper fishing, rock fishing. That's a biggie. That fish doesn't mind being in cold water, cold temperatures. Of course, you got your crappie. Speckled perch is what I always known them, grew up as speckled perch, but you got some awesome crappie fishing that happens in the winter. You got your trout guys. A little bit more to the saltwater edge. A lot of folks fish all winter long for trout. Your raccoon perch are starting to spawn right now. Next couple of months, they'll actually be on their peak for this area, especially for catching the big ones. I hope we catch a couple big ones today. The past few years, I've seen that fishery kind of fall off, or I say the past few years, maybe the past decade. We don't see those quite like we used to, but you can certainly catch some citations this time of year. And the white perch, they'll bite all winter long. Another great fishery. We have had a terrible amount of rain since Christmas. Matter of fact, it started Christmas and it has been raining ever since. A couple times a week anyways. So the water has definitely been flowing. It's been muddy. It's been high. Kind of all the obstacles put it in the fish's favor versus the fisherman's favor, I guess. And any time now the shad will show up, hickory shad, any time now somebody's going to catch the first one of those for the year. That fishery can get red hot through February. I've seen February be a peak month for them, and March is usually always a good month. Little thump. A little crappie. Nothing big yet. See you, buddy. A lot of customers ask me that come on the boat and mess around with these light jigs. A lot of them have never done it before. It's just kind of out of sight, out of mind. They don't think about catching fish on the little jig, especially like your striper guys, your trout guys. You know, they're thinking of a little bit bigger lures a lot of times. I find that these small profile lures will catch just as good at times. So it's kind of, you never know what you'll get. Oftentimes, if you get those small taps, the other day I kept getting all these small taps, and ended up being little bitty speckled perch. I mean, they weren't 5 inches long, 6 inches long, but a bunch of them. But like I was saying, a lot of times with customers using smaller jigs or what have you, when they first start out, if they've never done it before, they're like, man, I can't quite feel it. And usually my guidance to them is just be a little bit more patient. And most of the time it hasn't hit bottom. Otherwise, it's just falling through the water column. You haven't felt anything. Fish hasn't hit it. It hasn't hit any structure, hasn't hit bottom. So that bait is still just free falling. So if you're using this, trying to learn how to do it, make that cast, just let it fall. You'll feel it if you're on tight line, you'll feel that jig when it hits the bottom. Especially with today's rods or what have you. I use TFO rods. I've never had a problem. Customers haven't had a problem feeling with them. They're not hugely overpriced rods. They're not the cheapest rods. But man, they're good rods. Outstanding rods. Cut that one off. I'll tell you this, if I put a jig on and I'm in an area where I might have left fish yesterday, or I know there's fish there, I'm marking fish on my screen, and I'm not getting bit, I change colors of jigs. You make those casts, just like I say, around the clock. If you don't get bit, put on a different color. Do it again. I may do that 2 or 3 times before I give up on an area. But use your gut feeling. Your gut will tell you a lot. If you think you need to stay, if your gut's telling you to stay, then hold out. Change your colors. I have seen colors make all the difference in the world. If you go back and look at a lot of my videos, I'll always say profile over color. Color secondary, but colors can make a difference. A few little bites directly under the boat here, a few little taps. I may reposition the boat and make the cast to here. I may have the wrong angle on this particular spot. Dang, that's a pretty good fish there. Keep them under that structure. You see what it was on the camera? Pretty rockfish. Striped bass, same thing. I don't know how much pressure I can put on that line after it got snagged, but we got him in. That's a pretty daggone fish right there. Come here, buddy. Jig came right out, didn't it? Pretty good rockfish. See how long it is right quick. About 27 inches long. It's a good one, isn't it? Anyways, back in the water you go there, bud. Let's make some babies. Yeah, I didn't have a clue at what that thing was at first when it popped that jig. I stuck it, it loaded up kind of hard. I was like, man, you get in the water if it was a, because he wasn't thumping too hard off the get-go there. You got wrapped in something. And you know, that's one of the things about, you know, that profile. Even Jaden on the camera said that I'm shocked that a fish that size would eat, you know, such a small jig. In the wintertime, you'll be surprised. A lot of times they'll downsize on what they're eating. I have caught a lot of nice rockfish on a small jig. You know, ladies and gentlemen, now I changed my angle here a little bit. I made a turnaround, looked at my electronics. I've seen a few fish. I've got a bunch of fish laying right on the bottom. A lot of times you got to put it right in their face if they're laying on the bottom like that. Starting to rain on us a little bit. So I changed my angle to see if I can give these fish a few more shots. And if we don't get bit, I'm just going to leave them, go find another hole, go find me another spot that looks good in my opinion, and see if we can't get bit. On my machine, it looks like I got two different sized classes of fish. It looks like I got some crappie here. What I'm looking at, just based off my experience on my electronics, some of them look like crappie. They're suspended off a little ledge. And then I got some fish laying right on the bottom. They could be rockfish. They could be carp. Who knows? But they're, you know, object-wise, they look to be about 2 to 3 pound fish. So I was going to give them one more shot, change the angle, see if they like it coming off the ledge or coming into the ledge. And if they don't bite, we're going to go play somewhere else. Come back to them if we need to. What I can tell you about this wintertime fishing is there oftentimes you will run into, you'll catch fish throughout, but oftentimes you'll run into bite windows. I think you see a lot tighter bite windows. And what I mean by a bite window is a period where everything bites. You're fishing along, nothing. And then all of a sudden, it's like somebody flips a switch and they turn on. You might catch fish for 15 minutes. You might catch fish for 20 minutes. You might catch fish for 2 hours. And if you ever experience it, you'll know why folks will get up early in the morning and come out here and, you know, fish in not quite desired conditions, but the fishing can be phenomenal. Like I say. And I don't like cold weather whatsoever. I'm not a big fan of it. I like it every now and then, go hunting, go snow skiing, have a little snow to play in with the kids. Other than that, there went a little bite. Probably went up and just tapped it. Swing and a miss. And sometimes when you get bit, you'll want to kind of speed it up, but you got to train yourself to settle it right back down, get it right back in that strike zone, and keep working it. Remember where you got bit at and make that cast again. Just don't rush it. Oftentimes with customers, if they get bit a time or two, I'll see them speed up, and then all of a sudden they take themselves out of the game. But deer over there. Got some good marks on the screen. Nothing major. Small guys today. Where's your mama? I get customers that sometimes call up and say, hey, well, what can we go catch? That if I would like to keep some for dinner or what have you, I have that option. So if that's something you want to do, if you want to take your kids fishing and have an opportunity to cook a meal that night and enjoy it from the fishing aspect to the whole turnaround process of it, from sharing a meal with your family. Crappie and brim or stuff are going to be a fishery I think that will definitely see highlighted coming back, becoming more popular. But always check those rules and make sure that you're within the parameters of the law. Because some areas these fish, like for example the speckled perch, it might be 8 inches. Some rivers it's 10 inches. Heck, some I think it's even 12 inches. So make sure you know where you're at in the rules, so you don't get yourself in trouble. It's been a really light, slow bite today. We have caught some on the jig, but just kind of wanted to walk through and show you guys what we're using. It's just a simple. This is a Florida Fishing Products 1000 class reel, and this is actually matched on a TFO trout panfish rod. And this is their ultra light version, 6'6". Got 10-pound braided line on it. And this outfit, as you can see, it'll catch anything from from small crappie to medium crappie to right on up to, what was that, a 26, 27-inch rockfish. So it on a typical day, as you saw today, we had three different transitions in one day. So I think it's just got these fish just shut down a little bit. But typical day on the wintertime, we'd pick up crappie, largemouth bass, striped bass. Every now and then you'll pick up a catfish, raccoon perch, white perch. So it's really good fishing if you get out here and give it a shot. Put on some good clothes, put on some warm clothes, go out and have a little bit of fun. Like I say, stay tuned, look for some more videos to come. And like I say, hopefully you guys picked up a few tips, a few pointers that you can add into your own arsenal. And if you have any questions, pick up the phone, give us a call. If you're looking to book a trip, reach out to us at FishIBX.com. And stay safe. Enjoy some good fishing.